MARA Millionaire. Do you have what it takes to become a MARA Millionaire? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. This is going to be a bit of a mashup of MARA Millionaire and When Moon for Marathon Digital, since I have not done a When Moon for it yet. So we're going to look at a lot of different information here, try to create a story, a narrative that allows us to decide what MARA is capable of doing this cycle based on historical performance and the different data points along the way. And of course, this is not financial advice and not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. This is very speculative, this exercise. It's really just to create a narrative in my mind and hopefully help you as well create your own narrative in terms of what do we think this could do in different scenarios. So we're going to end the video with a couple of different scenarios in terms of what type of market cap we could be looking at and price for MARA, and relate that to what it would take to become a MARA millionaire in those circumstances. All right, so first of all, this is the MARA chart. We're not going to look at this for too long. We're actually going to go on to and see how many shares outstanding there are for MARA. So currently, there are 282,787,365 shares of MARA as per their latest SEC filing that came out on May 24th, just a few days ago. So this is the amount of shares that they currently have. Now, you'll say that, oh, but they also have an ATM offering for $1.5 billion out there that they put out in February. Yes, they did. Now, we can also see if we go to shares outstanding for MARA, that as early as September, they had 100 million less shares than they do now. So they have issued 100 million shares since September. And on this chart, the latest they've got is March, where they had 260 million. And we can see now that there's actually over 280 million, which says to me that this ATM is likely already diluted into the amount of shares in the pool right now. So I believe that dilution is actually already taken care of, and we don't have any knowledge of any future dilution coming out. Now we can guess at what that may or may not be, but I'm not going to be guessing. I'll be changing my assessments as those dilutions come out and become reality, but I'm not going to try to decide what MARA might do in terms of dilution in the next year. So we're just going to work off of the current amount of shares, which is the 282 million shares. Okay, so that is an important thing to keep in mind. Now, let's take a look at what MARA did in the previous bull run and today. So, oh wait, hold on. First of all, where am I at? All right. Let's look at how the shares outstanding compared from the last bull run to now. So 2021, it would have been late 2021, they had 100 million shares. So they had about now there are about 3 times as many shares as there were in September 2021, meaning that the market cap would need to triple in order to get the same amount of value out of it, which would mean in that case, let's see, they had about 100 million shares at $7 billion or about that. So in order to get back to that same level in terms of price per share, they need to triple that, which would be well over almost $24 billion in market cap in order to reach this previous value up here at $83, a little over $83. So keep that in mind. That's also a really important thing. So they've tripled the amount of shares, which means in order to get back to $83, we need to triple the highest market cap ever achieved by MARA, which in this case was 7.56 billion. And if you triple that, you're looking at nearly $24 billion for MARA. That is a big ask in terms of getting back to that level. Okay, but if you look at just from 2020, so let's look at like there's a little peak down here on this in August 2020 where like they had the highest market cap they've had thus far at that point in time, and that was immediately after the last halving. So immediately after the last halving, or a few months after, they had a market cap of about 150 million, and they went to grow from 150 million to 7.56 billion. Let's look at like what is the difference there in that, just to give you an example. 50. The market cap increased 50x from where it was near the time of the halving, the highest point it had been after the halving here, immediately after the halving in 2020 up to 2021, where we had the peak of the bull market. That was a 50x. If we did that now, that would be like going from, here we go, $4.4 billion. 4.42. That would be like if MARA right now in this bull run got up to $222 billion in market cap if it did that same run that it did in 2020 to 2021. That is crazy. That is absolutely nuts. Do I think it's going to do that? I don't. That $222 billion is a huge amount of money for MARA, moving from where it currently is to that. That's absolutely insane. Do I think it'll do that? I don't know, but you know what? We're going to find out what the value of the shares would be at that level. And we'll do that. We'll keep this calculator here on the left for the end here, where we go over the different scenarios that we're going to have in mind for this thing. This is going to be the ultimate moon scenario, I think, for that at the end there. Oops. All right, that's my 222 billion. All right. So the next thing we want to talk about is what was going on with MARA the last time we had about the same market cap. Right now we're at $5.52 billion. The last time we were at about $5.52 billion was in October 2021. What did the operation of Marathon Digital look like back in October 2021? Well, we can look at their own press releases in order to tell us that. So this is their October 2021 operation update. Now, back then in October 2021, they were only operating with 2.96 exahash. That's less than some of the really small miners today. Like, that's really small. They have 10x the amount of exahash now that they had back then. But they were producing about 417 Bitcoin that month in October 2021. Last month, they mined 850 Bitcoin. Now, of course, that's going to become a lot lower with the halving than 850. So 850 was a number where 1/3 of the month, or about 33% of the month, was after the halving. But if we extrapolate that out, let me go here. There we go. I have it right here. So we could expect to be mining about 510 Bitcoin after the halving here, so in May, for MARA, based on April's data of exahash and Bitcoin mined. Okay. Now, if they energize all 29.9 exahash that they have on hand, that would be a 30% increase from what they had energized last month. They would be able to mine about 663 Bitcoin here after the halving compared to the month before. Now, that is still more than they were mining with 2.96 exahash back in October 2021. So that is a significant increase. Let me bring up a new calculator. Okay. So about 663, that's still about 58 or 58.9% more Bitcoin mined than last cycle, when their market cap was about the same price as it is now. So that's interesting. Keep that in mind. Are we currently trading at a 60% discount to what we should be trading at based on previous history of market cap on this thing? I mean, I guess it was at different cyclical parts of the business cycle back then. Like, that was during like the ultimate bull run. Bitcoin was taking off at that time, and that's pretty crazy. But we are mining about 60% more Bitcoin than we were back then, but our market cap is the same that it was before. So that's pretty interesting, I think, personally. Anyways, now, if we get to the full exahash that MARA plans to have for 2024, and we can go over here and see on their website, where is it at? Their plans for 2024, they intend to have 50 exahash by the end of the year. 50 exahash by the end of the year is an increase of about 66.7% increase in exahash from their current exahash right now. And if they manage to do that, by the end of the year, they could be mining 1,105 Bitcoin per month, which is even more than they've been mining now. If they get to that 50 exahash. And that would be, let's go, that's where this one came from, right? Yeah, this one right here. That would be about 2.65 times more Bitcoin per month than they were mining in 2021. So about 2.5 times as much Bitcoin they were mining back then in 2021, which means we could potentially see about a $20 billion market cap based on the fact that they will be mining 2.65%, 2.65 times more Bitcoin now at the end of 2024 than they were mining in 2021. So we could potentially see that. Let me put this calculator over here now for that. The other thing we want to talk about here, okay, is their Bitcoin HODL. So they've got 17,631 Bitcoin. Now, just for the sake of argument, we're going to assume that they don't add any more Bitcoin to that HODL. I know that's not true, and that doesn't make any sense that they wouldn't, but just for the sake of running these numbers, we're going to say that they do not add any Bitcoin to this treasury. How much is that currently worth? Currently, that is worth about, let me get rid of some of these things. I don't need this one anymore. I don't need this one anymore. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so currently, here it is. Currently, the price of Bitcoin is 67,730, representing about $1.19 billion. So 1.19 billion. Okay, what's the current market cap of MARA? It's 5.52 billion. Okay, so if we take 5.52 divided by 1.19, we're looking at 4 times the amount, or a little less than 25% of their market cap. So actually, we can figure that out exactly. Sorry, that's not right. 1.19 divided by 5.52. So currently, their Bitcoin HODL represents about 21.5% of their total market cap. Okay. Now, historically, they have had a similar thing running here. So this is actually from 2022. Okay. So this is back from 2022, March 2022 to be exact. You can see it right here, March 31st, 2022. And their HODL represented about 23% of their total market cap. You can see this HODL, the market cap is about 23%. Today, it's about 21.5%. Okay, where am I going with this? Where am I going with this is that Bitcoin's going to increase in price. We know this. We know it's going to happen. Now, what's the base case? I've been hearing a lot of people, their base case is $150,000 per coin for Bitcoin. Now, we can argue all day long about whether or not it's going to go to 200,000, 500,000, a million, whatever. We can do that all day long. But just for the sake of running these numbers, let's go with the base case. Now, this could be a sandbag number. This could be super, super low, in which case Marathon could get a huge market cap uh, if it goes higher than this. But just for the sake of argument, for our sandbagged lowest case scenario for Marathon Digital and Bitcoin, we're going to say Bitcoin never goes above $150,000. Okay. Now, we take that, and it was 17,631, right? 17,631. That's how much Bitcoin they currently have. Now, they're going to have more than this, but just for the sake of running the numbers, we're going to say MARA just stops adding to their treasury. Bitcoin never gets over $150,000. How much money would MARA have from Bitcoin alone? That would be 2.644 billion. Okay, so now let me get my other number up here, making it easier for myself. 4.63. All right, so the market cap currently is 4.63 times what the value of their Bitcoin is. So if we extrapolate that out to if Bitcoin never goes over $150,000, MARA does not add any more Bitcoin to their treasury, and they only have $2.6 billion of Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and they maintain that same historical about 21 to 23% value of Bitcoin to market cap that they've been running with for quite a while now. What would their market cap look like? $12.2 billion. Now, this is going to be our sandbag case for MARA. So we've got 12 billion, we've got 20 billion, whoop, and we've got 222 billion as our absolute moon case based on all the stuff that we've been talking about. So now How many shares of Marathon Digital do you need to be a MARA millionaire in this bull cycle? Let's find out. All right, we're going to start with the base case, the worst case scenario. This is like the cheapest we think it's going to be. Okay, 12.2 billion. So if we have that, now I need to go and remind myself how many shares Mara has. It was 282,787,365. That's what it was. So 282,787,365. Actually, I'm gonna keep this one over here so I don't forget that number. I'm really surprised I remembered it even now. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there so that I don't lose it. I know I have so many calculators right now. It's okay. It's okay. We can do this. All right, so we had 12 billion, 267, 605, 722.5. Got to remember those pennies. Divided by 282, 787,365. You end up with a $43 MARA. $43.38 for MARA. Current price of MARA is $19.52. All right, so how? I know another calculator, yet another calculator. So if we had if you want to have $1 million of MARA in the worst case scenario, that was way more than a million. If you want $1 million of MARA with the worst case scenario that we've laid out here, where MARA only ever gets up to $43.38, you need 23,052 shares of MARA in order to become a MARA millionaire. How much would that cost you today? 449,976. That's really not a great return in terms of what we've been looking at on a lot of things right now. So you need over 23,000 shares of MARA and over $400,000 to become a MARA millionaire in the worst case scenario that we've laid out here. So let us move on to the next case, something that is a little more likely in terms of what we're expecting to see. We're expecting to see about a $20 billion market cap, maybe 20 billion. What would that be? 20 billion, 34 million, something like that market cap for them. So 20, there we go. 20 billion. There we go. All right. Now divide that by the amount of shares. 282, 787, 365. $70. In the range where we get in the mid-range one here, where we reach a $20 billion market cap. Now, remember, that's based off the fact that they're producing 2.65% more Bitcoin at 50 exahash than they were in 2021, where the market cap was $7.56 billion, and 2.65 times by 7.56 comes out to just over 20, which would be 20 billion, given the amount of Bitcoin that they're producing. They could reach $70.84. Now, that's lower than their previous all-time high, but that is a realistic number. So let's take a look here. If you have $1 million and you have 70.844, keep doing that. Divided by 70.844 or 845 because it's a 7, it's rounded up. You need 14,115 shares of MARA to be a MARA millionaire in that situation. And that would cost you today $275,531 to become a MARA millionaire today, assuming that we get that $20 billion market cap, which is entirely reasonable given how much Bitcoin they are producing, how much they will produce if they reach their goals, based on the comparison of what they were producing and what their market cap was last time around. 20 is actually pretty reasonable. I think they might get higher than 20. It might be they might reach that 23, $24 billion market cap and get up to that $83 that they reached last time. That's entirely possible. So let's do the very last case here. The very last case is $222 billion. 768. So many zeros. All right. So with $222 billion, this is the absolute moon case here. You're looking at a MARA worth $787.75.7. That is an insane amount. I really don't think it's going to get that high. That would be crazy. Now remember, that's based on how much the market cap increased from just 2 months after the halving in 2020 to the peak of the market in 2021, which is where we're currently right now. We are a few months after the halving, and we're going into that peak market that's coming up very soon. And this is just taking how much that difference was from 2020 to 2021 and adding that to our current numbers today. And that's how we got that $222 billion market cap, and which took us to the $787 shares per share for MARA. 787.76. You would need 1,269.42 shares of MARA to be a MARA millionaire if it reaches a market cap of $220 billion, which would be the same multiple that it did in 2020 to 2021. So at the current price of MARA, if you were to become a MARA millionaire with the 1,269 shares, if the price got up to 787, then that would cost you today at $19.52, that would cost you $24,779. That is the absolute moon case scenario. So it could be anywhere between $24,779 all the way up to over $400,000 in order to become a MARA millionaire, depending on the market cap. If the market cap gets to $220 billion, $20 billion, or just lags behind at around 12 to 13 billion dollars. You're looking at much different prices here. How much more are you holding on to? And what price do you think it's going to get to in this bull cycle? Personally, I think we're looking closer to the $20 billion mark. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be, you know, what did that come out to at the $20 billion mark? About $70. Yeah, I'd be looking maybe $70 to $90. MARA is what I'm thinking in my head for my own purposes. And of course, this is not financial advice, not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. I'm just thinking it's probably going to be anywhere between that 70 to maybe like $120 range for Marathon Digital. Now, it could go significantly higher. I mean, it's done it before. This is not an unprecedented move going, 50 times from the point of the halving into the bull run. It's happened before, and it could happen again. But I am not personally going to hold my breath and wait for it to get up to $222 billion market cap before making any sales on my MARA shares, or in my case, my MARA calls. So that is all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.